When you first see a mini or micro hurdle, it looks pretty simple, pretty tame. However, the hurdle is one of the best tools available for training a variety of athletic movement skills. Drills can be conducted with the hurdles that positively affect linear speed, lateral speed, change of direction, and jumping. Hurdles are available in many different shapes and sizes, but generally speaking, you will find most companies carry a 6-inch hurdle or a 12-inch hurdle. For many of the drills on this video, the size of the hurdle is irrelevant. In fact, oftentimes we use a mix of both sizes within a single drill just to give the athlete a little extra variety to deal with. However, with that being said, here are a few guidelines to consider when choosing hurdle sizes. First, when conducting drills in the linear speed section of this video, an athlete should be able to clear the top of the hurdle by at least 6 inches when standing with his thigh parallel to the ground, knee bent at a 90-degree angle, and his toe pulled towards his shin. Any less than this, and the athlete should choose a smaller hurdle. Second, when an athlete moves laterally, his feet stay relatively close to the ground. Thus, when performing drills from the lateral speed section of this video, the micro hurdle is usually the best choice. Finally, anytime the athlete has trouble with a drill for any reason, the height of the hurdle should be decreased. Oftentimes, the athlete begins to focus more on clearing the hurdle than the technique of the drill. When this happens, simply use a smaller hurdle or no hurdle at all until the athlete gets comfortable with the drill. This drill is called the sprint progression. It involves 3 levels and is designed to mimic the increase in stride length that takes place during a sprint. The first level of this drill requires 10 hurdles to be set up in a straight row. The distance between the hurdles should be equal to approximately 1 walking stride of the athlete. The athlete will choose one of his legs to be the lead leg and then will sprint through the hurdles. In other words, the athlete will always lead over each hurdle with the same leg. In this demonstration, the athlete is leading with his left leg. Even though it is not shown in this demonstration, equal repetitions should be performed leading with the right leg as well. When the athlete has become comfortable with level 1 of the sprint progression drill, he can then move on to level 2. This involves taking the final 7 hurdles and increasing their spacing to a distance equal to 2 walking strides of the athlete. The athlete now runs through the hurdles just the same as before, driving the knee of his lead leg over each hurdle, maintaining an upright posture, and keeping his upper body in rhythm with his lower body. However, when the athlete gets past the first 3 holes, he must now increase his stride length. Note that the athlete is not allowed any additional steps to get through the longer holes. The idea is for the athlete to smoothly transition from using short, quick strides in the first 3 holes to using medium-length, quick strides in the final 6 holes. The third and final level of the sprint progression drill involves taking the last 3 hurdles and increasing their spacing to a distance equal to 4 walking strides of the athlete. The same technique of sprinting through the hurdles and leading with the same leg applies in this configuration as well. The athlete now has 2 points where he must increase his stride length to keep up with the spacing of the hurdles. Just as in level 2, the athlete is not allowed any additional steps to get through the longer holes. The athlete's goal is to smoothly transition at each point the hurdle spacing increases and to pick up speed throughout the sprint. The athlete will know that he has performed a perfect repetition on this drill when he shoots out of the last hurdle at full speed. This drill is called front-back hops. Here the athlete stands facing a hurdle. The athlete hops over the hurdle with both feet so that he lands in a position where the hurdle is to his back. The athlete controls his body and then hops backwards in the same way. The goal is to perform a set number of hops in as little time as possible, or to perform a maximum number of hops in a set period of time. As an athlete becomes accustomed to the motion of front-back hops, he can then perform the drill on one leg. This slight variation requires a great deal more balance and body control by the athlete. Because athletes are less explosive off one leg than 2, a smaller hurdle or obstacle may be used on this variation. The hurdle maze is a fun drill that involves placing the hurdles in a twisted-looking configuration that the athlete must hop through with both feet. As the athlete hops through the hurdles, he always faces forward. This forces the athlete to perform hops to the front as well as to the left and right. The athlete should keep his feet together throughout the entire repetition and should aim to both leave the ground and strike the ground with both feet at the same time. The athlete's goal is to spend as little time on the ground as possible by quickly springing off the ground with each hop. When an athlete reaches top speed, the upward drive of the knee and total body rhythm are extremely important. This first drill is called the dead leg, and it targets these two components of top speed sprinting. To perform the dead leg drill, hurdles should be placed in a row with about 2 feet of separation between each hurdle. The athlete then stands at the first hurdle with one leg positioned inside the hurdles, this is the lead leg, and one leg positioned outside the hurdles, this is the dead leg. The athlete then steps over the first hurdle with his lead leg. The leg should be brought up to a position where the thigh is parallel to the ground, the knee is bent at 90 degrees, and the toe is pulled towards the shin. This is known as a sprinter's leg. The foot and knee should pass over the hurdle at the same time. The foot of the lead leg then claws down at the ground, strikes directly under the athlete's hips, and pulls the athlete forward. The dead leg remains in a straight, locked position and simply slides forward. Note that the athlete keeps his weight on the front of his foot on the dead leg, and that the dead leg is always in a position slightly behind the lead leg. The athlete should maintain an upright posture during this exercise and should allow his arms to fall into rhythm with his lower body. Since this drill essentially targets only one leg at a time, equal repetitions must be performed with both the right and left legs. The Icky Shuffle involves setting up the hurdles in a staggered configuration and so that all of their crossbars run in the same direction. The athlete begins to the left of the first hurdle and steps over it with his right leg, and then with his left leg. The athlete then steps to the outside of the second hurdle with his right leg, picks up his left leg, and steps to the inside of the second hurdle. The right foot is then brought to the inside of the second hurdle, and the pattern is repeated to the end of the hurdle configuration. This drill should start off slow until the athlete gets the rhythm. At that point, the athlete can speed it up and produce some rapid foot contacts. Lateral hops work the same way as front-back hops, except that the athlete is hopping laterally over the hurdle. Both feet should leave the ground and strike the ground at the same time on this exercise. Again, the focus is on quickness off the ground. As you have probably guessed, lateral hops can also be performed on one leg as well. Because single leg movements tend to be more difficult than double leg movements, we have substituted the 12-inch mini hurdle with a 5-inch micro hurdle in this drill. Remember that anytime single leg drills are being performed, an equal number of repetitions must be performed on the right and left legs. The dead leg isolates a single leg and teaches the motion the leg should go through when passing over a hurdle. This next drill takes that motion and allows the athlete to apply it while using both legs in a running motion. The hurdles remain in a straight row with about 3 feet of separation between them. The athlete performs this drill by starting 5 to 10 yards behind the first hurdle. The athlete should aim to maintain this lead-in sprint speed throughout the hurdle configuration. As the athlete runs through the hurdles, one leg will always lead over each hurdle and one leg will always trail over each hurdle. Equal repetitions will be performed with each leg serving as the lead. Each time the athlete steps over a hurdle, his leg should be in a sprinter's leg position, where his thigh is parallel to the ground, knee bent at 90 degrees, and toe pulled towards the shin. Again, all of the action with the leg takes place in front of the body, and the knee and foot should pass over the hurdle at the same time. An upright posture should be maintained throughout the sprint, the arms should fall into rhythm with the lower body, and all of the athlete's body weight should be on the front of his feet. Here the athlete begins by straddling the first hurdle. The athlete then hops in the air to the second hurdle and lands in a position where he is straddling that hurdle. The athlete should aim to spend as little time as possible on the ground and should spring off the ground as soon as he comes into contact with it. A low to the ground flat back position should be maintained when performing this drill. Such positioning will help the athlete react more quickly off the ground and will condition the athlete to maintain this ready position at all times during athletic movement. The straddle hop drill can be made more difficult by turning it around and performing it in reverse. Again, the athlete must maintain a low crouched position and should react quickly off the ground. As the athlete hops in the air, he must look down to locate the next hurdle so he can land in a position straddling that hurdle. Even though very little has changed in this version of the exercise, it requires a great deal more body control and concentration than the last.